Yeah, I just keep it steady on the magic. Do my thing, I'm healing, it's fantastic. If I fall, rise automatic. You ain't know now, you know. I'm the one raise myself like a tree from the roots. West side girl, cause she lit in the coast. East side girl when she speaks to the roots. Stay 100 cause she on with the truth. Been there on struggle, know that it pass. Only going up, yeah, the pain don't last. Ooh, take off. Ooh, take off. Ooh, take off. Yes, sir, take off, take off, take off. Shorty like Brandy, fight like Monica. What you know about her? Baby girl rising, way to the top. Shaking the world, don't expect her to stop. Purpose so great, she get what she got. Follow her step, cause she following God. What you need more, got a heart full of gold. Even at times when it's raining and cold. Ooh, she bout to take off. Ooh, she bout.
What up, what up, what up, y'all? It's your girl Hanna, aka Roots High, and you are watching Black Men Speak Sundays here on the Uprooted Network. Y'all, I'm actually really excited. We are both going to learn a lot about my special guest today. I have the one and only Mozo in the building. What's up, Mozo?
What's going on, man? I'm super excited to be on here with you. Thank you for having me on. And like I said, I'm just excited right now.
Yeah, like it's been a while, so y'all, this is gonna be interesting. Um, Normally, I'm just introducing like a friend, maybe someone I worked with in the past, et cetera, et cetera. This is probably the first time I think like I just threw my podcast shot. Like, if that's what we would call it. I was just like, I'm gonna just throw this podcast shot. Let's see what happens. But basically, my girl was like, "Yo, there's this guy I need to connect you with. He has a dope platform too, and you guys like really align." And I was like, "All right, cool, bet, bet, bet." She sends me the profile. I was like, "All right, cool." She's gonna send a message. Did not send a message. Right? She's gonna watch this too because she watches this faithfully. But like we both just forgot about it. Like it just there's always something, right? Like over the last year, people who follow me know like my people in Tigray have been fighting a genocide for over 500 days. So like every day, every week is just something different. You know what I mean? And so she sends me this, and like after a while, I think like your content just kept coming up on my page. And I was like, oh, this is some dope stuff. So I would just be like liking it. I was like, oh, she's right. Like she does. Okay, I see what she sees here. And I can't remember if I sent you a message or however it happened, but I was like, yo, yeah, it would be dope to work together. And then you sent the same thing, like if you ever want to collab. And I was like, oh, cool. Like that was easy. So I was like,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
dope. Like come on the show. So I'm hella excited. Can you tell the people a little bit about your podcast and what you're doing in your space?
Yeah, before anything, I just want to say, like, shout out to you, shout out to for your platform as well and what you're doing. Um, the reason I was so open to collaborating with you was because of what you have on your platform and what you're pushing and what you're doing. And I pride myself on aligning myself with people who I feel, trying to build community and do something positive. So shout out to you for what you're doing.
Thank you.
Um, you're welcome. As far as I go by the name of Mozo, from Brooklyn, New York, New York City, born and raised. Um, and I'm not an influencer or anything like that. I'm a digital creator. I'm just a person really trying to just uplift our communities, uplift our people. And I feel like the best way I can do it is by being positive, but also being honest and with my feelings, and especially as a man, expressing how I feel and doing it in a healthy way.
Mhm.
I'm also a father. I'm also a husband. So that's really what I'm about. It's something that for me, it's been a journey, a lifelong journey, I'm gonna say, and I'm gonna continue on this journey. But I'm just happy again that I'm able to connect with people and really just, in a way, learn from other people as well. That's not just me just talking to people, but also learning from others as well.
Mm, no, for real. That's real talk because it's like I try to tell people that too. It's like I'm not out here trying to be an influencer. Like I'm not trying to, not in that sense. Like if I'm gonna influence you, I hope it's something positive. Like
Right.
and so I was just like, oh, okay, like I see you. Like likeness will always see likeness, right? So it's like I get it. I see where you're taking this. Been able to catch a couple segments, and I'm like, yeah, dope. Like this is like a mirror image, like in terms of just looking out for different people doing dope things in the community. speaking on your truth. And I like what you said about that. Like, just even, I feel like as a man, just normalizing speaking about your feelings, right? Like, we
Right.
have emotions and thoughts, like, they're real. I don't know why we just assume that men are like not human. Like, it's so wild to me. So I know that couldn't have been normal because you said New York. Okay. I've had some New Yorkers on the show. We know it's not the easiest place to grow up in, and being open in that way is probably not something normal in your community. So, can you talk a little bit about like how you even came to start doing a show? Because it's not easy to just pick up the mic.
Yeah, so I also have a podcast, which is Watch Them Off Mozo Podcast.
Mhm.
Um, besides that, and I do a lot of also positive videos that you catch on my Instagram at underscore the real Mozo and all that stuff. But really for me where it started was that um I don't know, to be perfectly honest with you. I don't know what clicked, what it was. I don't know if it's just like I don't know if it's been I don't know if it was life or my experiences.
Mhm.
But growing up in New York City is difficult. It's not the easiest thing. Um, the way I feel right now, the way I express myself is not the way I expressed myself growing up.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Like maybe I
About it.
maybe I re- maybe I really wanted to inside, but I had to mask it because I felt like if I did, I wouldn't have survived. Or I feel like like I would have trouble at school, or like like getting picked on and stuff like that. I feel like that's what would happen. So then I thought to myself, what do we need to do? How can we find a way to that so that your younger generation now, right, can somewhat grow up and feel comfortable and being okay with expressing themselves in a healthy way. And I only speak from my standpoint, right, because I can only speak about my experiences and my truth and the stuff I've lived through. I can't speak for everybody else, but I can also speak from a man's perspective.
Yeah.
And I have a son, right, who just turned 11, and I want him to be able to express himself in a healthy way. So in
Yeah.
order for him to do that, I feel like I have to like somewhat model that behavior, right? Like I have to show him in a way
Mhm.
how it's done, right? Like I can't say one thing and then show him and be showing another thing or whatever the case may be. And it's not just the youth too, because it starts with us as well. Like we have to be able to have these conversations like the one we're having right now. And
Mhm.
the way I see it is like maybe another man will see this conversation, and be like, yo, you know what? Maybe I can have a conversation with my brother or my son or my boy about something, that about my feelings, about how I'm feeling, because it's easy for us men when someone asks you, how you doing? I'm good. I'm all right. I'm okay. Chilling. I'm good. It's easy to say that, right? To avoid the real feelings, right? And I'm not saying to anybody, right? Because a random stranger asks you, you're not gonna say that. But like, if
Yeah.
someone you have love for asks you how you doing, we should feel comfortable enough to be like, yeah, I'm not doing too good today. I'm having kind of a down day. My energy's kind of low. Had a rough day at work. Whatever it may be.
Mhm.
Um, it's okay to show signs and show, express your feelings, even if it's down feelings. Like you're not weak for doing that. And I think that's really what my purpose has become in a way. It's just to be honest with your feelings, and especially when it comes to men, because like I said, that's where I can speak from.
Yeah. I mean, there was something like powerful and like just even you shifting the narrative, right? Like there's no there's no shame in having a bad day. Like you're just everybody has them, like or a bad moment or whatever. And like the fact that we don't say that openly is like, just shows like how far like we really hide our suffering and our pain and like how much we carry,
Hmm.
in our body. Like it's exhausting. Like, like it is. So it's
No, it
nice
is.
like even have that release, right? Like, because I think it's scary because a lot of what we do, people consider very vulnerable, right? Like sharing these things publicly, being honest and walking in your authenticity is difficult. So, like, the other side of that, though, do you get that release of like, yo, I feel good. Like, I don't got to hold that no more. And it's worth it. Cause like for me, I just hurry up and press upload before I change my mind. I swear that's like my go-to method. Like, yo, I'm gonna make peace with it. Don't think no more. And like, I'll just hit upload, or I'll just do it live. Cause then that way, like, there's no going back.
Right.
But like for you, I wonder what that experience has been like.
For me, it's something where like I feel like I've gotten to a point where I'm just I'm just so comfortable with being honest with how I feel. Like, like I
Mhm.
had a rough week a couple weeks ago. Like, what was the reason? I like during the week while the week was going on,
Mhm.
I didn't I didn't feel being down, right? Like I didn't like I was getting up, I was going through the motions or whatever the case was. But then towards the end of the week, I really felt it, like really felt down.
Yeah.
And and I thought to myself, and I had a conversation with my wife, and I'm like, in the past, I feel like I would have found a way to just mask those feelings, and not feel them and not understand why I'm feeling the way I feel, reflect
Mhm.
on them. And like you said, you end up holding on to those feelings and like bound them inside of you, right? Which then leads to like an explosion of some sort, usually a negative explosion, because when you hold everything in, right? Um, it may take the littlest thing or something else happening where then you just explode and you go off and then it turns into a meltdown,
Mhm.
that's hard to control. So for me, as far as like doing those kind of things, like when I speak about certain things, like I feel like at this point, I feel like I've become so used to doing it that I don't really think about it anymore. You know what I'm saying? And when in the past I was like when I first started doing this, since I was learning my feelings and learning to get to know myself. Really, I
Yeah.
really having this conversation wouldn't have been as easy for me.
Yeah.
Like it was something where I'd be like, oh my God, it's am I gonna embarrass myself? I don't know, just start thinking like doubting yourself in a way almost. You know what I'm saying? But now I'm just very like this is how I feel. This is how I feel. If you feel what I'm saying, then that's cool. If you don't feel, because that's another thing. A lot of people aren't used to just someone just spreading something like spreading love or spreading positivity without wanting anything in return.
Mm.
Like
Yeah.
people sometimes, and I understand that too because people are used to that. We're like, I give you, you give me, right? That's
Mhm.
that's how the mentality that we're kind of like raised with. I give you this, I scratch your back, you scratch my back, right? Type mentality. But I'm not looking for anything back in return. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I said something to someone one time, like this, and they were like, "Oh, great promo" or something like that. I'm like, "This is not promo for anything." You know what I'm saying? I'm just spreading some energy, because
Yeah.
sometimes we need it. Sometimes when someone sends me something, that makes me feel good. It may make my day. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah,
so
I was like, mm-mm. I was happy before I came online. Like I was
right,
good.
right, right. You know what I'm saying? So like, um, I just think that I'm also become more understanding and know that not everybody's on a different journey and everybody's on different in a different time and a different space and a different place in that journey. So
Yeah.
I've also learned to not compare my journey to somebody else's journey or compare my experience to somebody else's because, like I said, some people have far in this journey. They've already, some people have yet to get there. I'm in my place. I know where I'm at,
Mhm.
and that's all I can do. What about you though? Like as far as you and your content, like like
Bro,
um
it's been a journey. Look at y'all was like, get hot. I'm getting hot. It's just so much. Like my audience has seen all the like the snot nose tears, the like really just in the moment hype, like just kind of I think they have seen the barometer of emotions that can be expressed, you know.
mhm,
Um and I just like it was hard and I talk about it a lot like um it was like for the first season. I don't know if you experienced this, but like the first season that I did the show, um, I hated editing so much because it was like it's not even just the process, but it's like listening to yourself over and over and like
mhm.
seeing yourself, especially if you're not used to looking at yourself. I tell people all the time, this is like the crash course and like figuring out your self-esteem and your self-worth because I just couldn't do it. Like it because I was just like, man, I was trying to hide like my real feelings, and like just kind of like, present this like put together person Not that I'm not put together, but I also have days where I am not. Like, and I
Right.
just didn't want to set that up. I was like, yo, I can't set up a pedestal. Like, I don't, that's not how I operate. So, the second season, I was like, I got to come back authentically myself, or I just can't do this at all.
Mm.
Like, and so that's why I was like, okay, let me record. Let me like really think about the people that I want on the show. And like I really interviewed people that I trusted, and that knew me from before this, so that
Right.
like they could speak to me, the person. And so those episodes I still have because the war started. So I was like, great, but it was like it had already propelled me into that energy of like just be you. And so I was like, well, shit, I guess we crying. Like we crying today, we crying. Like grab your tissues, bro. Like you know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because it's just like, bro, like, can we stop pretending like we're not living in a pandemic?
Right,
Like,
right.
can we not
No, I get
pretend,
it.
like there's wars going on everywhere? Like people
Mm-hmm.
are miserable right now. Like, why are we pretending like shit's like rainbows and butterflies? You know?
Right. No, no,
So,
I definitely agree with you, and I kind of went through the same thing when it comes to the editing part,
mhm.
to podcasting, right? So I got to the point where I just stopped editing. Like when I first started, like the first few episodes I was editing, and I was so like wrapped up in the whole like, uh, does it sound good? Does it sound like, how do I do this? And I got to a point I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna talk for the next 30 minutes. Because at first when I started doing this, I didn't have any guests. It was just me talking about like my experiences and a certain topic and just speaking. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna speak, and that's gonna be that. You know what I'm saying? And
Yep.
I think people really enjoy and love the rawness sometimes, right? Of what you're saying, and I feel like they can kind of like see themselves uh in it, because a lot of times people aren't comfortable with speaking that way, right? Or being so open or being so raw. So when they see somebody else speaking about it, they're like, damn, I felt that. I kind of hear myself through him or through her, So that definitely resonated with me just now, what you just said.
It's like the worst, bro. I'm like, but now it's just like I'm so used to like I know what I sound like. I'm completely comfortable. Like I don't need to edit the episodes. I only edit them now if like the guest feels like there's something that they need like removed. But like
Yeah.
almost 100% of the time that's not the case. So it's just like, all right, cool. You know what I mean? And I just kind of move on because it's just a courtesy I extend because I realize too that like um the majority of my guests have never come on a podcast or like don't normally do
Mm,
these type of things. So it's just like, oh, like I realized too, like, oh, I really am building community and I really am creating a space for people to be themselves and to be authentic. And I don't want to take away from that experience by sugarcoating it or like cutting out mistakes and blunders. Like that's life. Like what? This is like I don't have an MTV production budget. Like
right, right.
I'm not doing that. Like that's not real. Like cuz you know what I mean? I feel like the reason I love podcasting and the reason why I love like just interviewing and just conversation in general is to connect with human beings. Like if
Mm,
I just wanted a show to watch, then I can flip the TV on for that. You know what I
right.
mean? But we go to content creators and like community builders because we want a place to engage in, you know? So after a while, like once I like got back to being mission focused, I was like, bro, who cares, bro? Like, yes, I'm in a bonnet today. Oh well. like like it is what it is. Your mom wears bonnets too. Like don't come
Right.
like don't come for me. So now I just like, oh well. But I am curious though, because I know for me, this is not my upbringing, right? Like this is not how my culture works
Yeah.
at all. And so there was some hurdles that I had to go through. So I'm wondering for you, kind of like what sparked your journey into kind of changing that trajectory for yourself? Like, did you have any mentors or, like key moments that you could think of?
So it's a great question, by the way.
Thank you.
Um, so as far as like upbringing, again, growing up, this wasn't something I thought about. I didn't think about being positive. It was always, I feel like I had a negative mindset, but I think it was because of my environment, my surroundings, and the way I was thinking.
Mhm.
And the lack really of maybe like a role model or someone, a mentor, someone that that could guide me and give me this kind of thinking. But
Mhm.
now that I got older, I think about my mom and I think about how what like she's such a positive person. And not that she doesn't go through stuff, but like she always turned the negative into a positive. She
Mhm.
always found a way to make a crappy situation into a situation where it wasn't the best, but it's like we're gonna get through this. You know what I'm saying? Like she always. I'm thinking back as a kid, she always gave me that, and I think in a way I'm a lot like her. When it comes to that, because I could be going through a million things, even when I'm having my down days, that I'm still thinking in my head like I'm gonna get through this. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I'm feeling sad, I'm feeling down right now, but I know these feelings aren't forever. It's just maybe I had a rough day, I had a rough moment, or something happened, but it's not forever. And that's something that my mom has been a huge. It's crazy because it's been after I grew up, but she's been a huge like she was doing it all along. I just wasn't taking it in. You know what I'm saying? Like she was doing it all along, but I just wasn't taking it in because again, I was just not ready to take it in.
Mhm.
Um, and I'm gonna say also like uh a men's group. I joined a men's group. Shout out to the Bloom Homie gang, the
Okay,
Bloomies. They're
that's
based
dope. We love
based out of,
that.
yeah, they're based out of California. Led by Figgy Baby, who's a recording artist. Um, and I was able. It's a men's group where we met through Zoom. We meet through Zoom every Tuesday.
Mhm.
During the pandemic. So it was cool because we were from all over the place. They were in Cali, somewhere in Chicago, somewhere here, all over. Even overseas. And we're all in this one Zoom room, and we're just talking as men. Talking about our feelings and talking about things that we've gone through and experiences. And when you see that, it also makes you uh, feel like a lot more comfortable speaking about certain things because you know that you're not the only one that has these feelings.
Mhm.
And this is why I say that. This is why it's so important to have these conversations because somebody might watch this because I don't want to say all men, but most men they do want to speak about their feelings. They do want to be open about certain things. They just either don't know how to, don't feel comfortable doing, or feel like they're gonna be somewhat, criticized for doing that.
Yeah.
So those are the things that those are the roots, that really have, I guess made me who I am today in a way. But I definitely give it all to get up to my mom, like like I said, she to this day she's still somebody who's always asking me like how are you doing? Like, and now it makes sense. Like she's not asking me, she's asking because she wants to hear me give her an honest answer. Like she doesn't want me to say, I'm fine, mom. She wants to hear me say like I'm feeling happy, Mo, I'm feeling sad, or I'm not feeling okay. You know what I'm saying? Because so she wants to be there to be like, she wants to be there to support me in which way I'm feeling. So I didn't get that till I got older.
Man, listen, I'm telling you, this is the other thing that like makes me really love like just like my upbringing because I grew up in the Bay. Is very multicultural, and I feel like New York's the same. That
Mhm.
like as you were talking, I was like, bro, your mom sounds like my mom. Like I actually have the tattoo behind my ear actually says resilience because like that's what I think about like when you say that like my mom is like that too. It's like there's a reason why I've always looked for the silver lining in a situation is because like she does too. Like
Right.
it's like oh, you didn't have a choice. Like she has, they have kids. It's like they're not gonna let their kids down. Like I think
Right.
that's like, the one superhero thing that like moms get is like that drive to like I'm gonna do it for my kids even if it's not for me.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, like I still get the phone calls. I just talked to my mom before we hopped on. Like like she goes, "So are you feeling better now?" Okay, good. Like it's like
Right. Right.
same because like earlier she called me in the day. This is the second phone call. Like and I was in the middle of something. I was like, hold on, I just need to figure this out. Let me just call you back. Like, like I was clearly flustered. So I called her back and I was just like, oh, okay, let me update you on the news and tell you this in the third. So it's true. Like they really are like dope. Like that's just
Yeah.
super amazing to have. And like you can see it like across cultures and just across the diaspora. Like there's something like so beautifully resilient about our parents, you know?
Right. Yeah, definitely. And sometimes I feel like we don't give them enough credit, you know? Like
Mhm.
I think that for a long time I held like a lot of resentment. And it was because I wasn't fully again understanding of like we look at ourselves and it's selfish sometimes we look at ourselves and how right like but our my mom wasn't raised like I was raised, right? She was raised by somebody else, which is my
Mhm.
grandma and grandpa, and we don't know grandma, yeah, but we don't know how she was really raised because we weren't there when she was being raised, right? So we don't know exactly how her experiences were. So, you know, sometimes we need to have a little bit of patience and also some type of, you know, understanding when it comes to our moms and our dads because it's not easy, you know, raising another human being
Yeah.
and you really try the best you can do and most of the time you go by what you learn, by what you see somebody else do, right? Like that's what you do. So, um, but yeah, so anybody out there listening, be you know be kind to your parents, man. You know what I'm saying? And you could be the bigger person too. Like if that's something I learned too. Like I was always waiting for my mom or my dad to say something to me. You know, like to have a conversation. You could do that too. You know, you're an adult now. Like if you feel like you need to say something to them, say it. You know, like and express how you know how you feel. And believe it or not, sometimes they'll open up right after you say it. You know, but a lot of times they're not used to doing that. If you weren't taught how to express yourself, right, or you know what, and say how you feel, then they're not gonna do that. So then it's up to us, since we can do it, since I can do it. I'm open to doing that with my mom and my dad and expressing myself and saying how I feel, whatever it may be. You know, even if something happened in fifth grade and I feel like I was still holding on to it. I'm like having a conversation about it, you know, you know, because I feel like it needs to happen because I'm still thinking about it and it's something that affected me. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna let you know. And I always tell them I don't want you to feel bad. I'm just expressing it so y'all know how I felt and maybe why I acted the way I acted at that particular time in my life or at this time after, you know.
Yeah.
But I'm just letting y'all know maybe that's the reason why.
No, I'm just laughing because not that it's funny, but it's just so factual. And I literally got into it with my dad last week on this stuff. Like, not into like a big fight, but just like there's just always little tips, right? Like there's always communication barriers.
Hmm.
Especially when you're speaking different languages, like literally speaking different languages, right? There's like things that he thinks are jokes that I don't, or like vice versa. And so it's always like something. And I literally had to do, I was like, so are you gonna talk to me about the fight? Like I was like, I have to be the parent right now. And it's like, yep, even at this big age,
Yeah.
still gotta do it. And it's like I think about my life as it is right now, and I don't have children of my own right now. I've helped a lot of people raise their children, but like I don't have my own. And I just think about like, man, if I had a little person running around right now that I was also responsible for, like I don't know, like like because like
Oh man.
my parents had me and my brother, by the time like by my age right now. So like they're looking
Mm.
at me like, girl, pop one out. I'm like, no. Like, no.
Right.
I know how hard it was for you guys. I know how hard it is for me now. And I want to be very certain about that commitment. Um, but still, like it gives me so much compassion. So what you were saying is like that's my internal monologue. Anytime like me and my parents get into it, I'm like, okay, remember that they're human beings too, and that they have their
Right, right, right.
and
It's
you
true.
gotta have like the whole like you gotta give yourself the self-talk, to like come back with compassion. And sometimes they gotta check you. Like sometimes you need to be
Facts.
checked. He definitely checked me. He was like, "You know what?" I was like, "Oh, you learned how to use boundaries too? Shit, okay." Like, 'cause it rubs off on them, and when they use your language back at you, you're like,
Yeah, yeah. No, it's true. That's what I'm saying. Like sometimes we have to set it off. We have to
"Yeah,
set the tone. And when we set the tone, we you'll see that they'll kind of like follow lead in a weird way because they're our parents, but that's what ends up happening.
so strange." And I'm starting to feel my way through this transition, and I'm just like, "All right, No, we'll see what happens when the children come along. It does make me curious. How have so like going along that vein, like how has that like response been overall from your parents? Because it's one thing. Like my mom is very supportive of the show. Like she watches everything, right?
Hmm.
My dad is very supportive, but like he struggles to watch it. Like he gets emotional. Like I don't know why. But he's like, I don't know. It's just like, you're my daughter. And I'm like, okay, whatever. So one day we'll see what happens. But I wonder, like, for your parents, like you kind of making all these changes now that you're a father too, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
And being public and like changing that culture for your family.
Um, I've seen like a huge change in our relationship, uh, and it's been positive to me. Like growing up, I remember my dad ever telling me he loves me, like saying I love you. Like, but I made it a point to like every time we hang up talking on the phone, like I said I love you. So now he says I love you before we hang up first. You know what I'm saying? Like he says it, and to me, like it's to me it's a beautiful thing. Like I see it as like I I'm proud of him. Like I'm
Mhm,
proud of him because like there's something maybe he wanted to say, he just didn't know how to do it. You know what
mhm.
I'm saying? The same thing with my mom. And as far as my content goes, it's funny you said that about your parents and when they watch. Like my mom, the first thing she asked me was like, "What made you want to do this?" It was like, and I'm like, "See, mom, this is why I'm just like you because that's exactly what I would ask somebody when they're on the show. Like, what inspired you to do this? You know what I'm saying? Like, what? So my mom was like, I'm like, Ma, I don't know. I'm just like, I feel like this is my purpose, like to speak about how I feel and to inspire other people so they can speak how they feel and we could just make the world a better place by having
Mhm.
these conversations. And she's like, "Oh yes, yes," like she was loving. My mom is very religious as well, so
Mhm.
so her hearing is just like she's like yes, like she's always something like she's like yeah, she's like oh my God, if you came to my church and you spoke da da da, I'm like. I'm
Oh
like
my
yes,
gosh.
ma. You know what I'm saying? Like but like at the end of the day, I know that they're proud of me for what I'm doing. They're proud of who I am as a person, and that makes you happy, I'm so like when I say that, I feel like a little kid in a way. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like I'm happy that they're proud of me. You know what I'm saying? Like who doesn't
Yeah.
want their parents to be proud of them? So yeah, that makes me happy.
That's beautiful. Because I'm telling you, I literally look at my mom like I gotta make her some like special merch that says like #1 fan or something. You know what I mean? Like we gotta get like the full deck out because the way this woman rides for me, I'm just like,
That's
girl,
beautiful.
she was trying to send everybody the link. Like, can you send me the link? You're subscribed. Like, I need you to know. Like, it's a lot, but
Oh
it's like
man,
it's love. And like my dad will be like, you should talk to this person. You should talk to this person.
that's
So
that's
it's
beautiful.
cool. Yeah, it's like it's nice because they can kind of be involved in a way too, right?
Yeah,
One day I'm trying
definitely.
to get fun. Have you thought about having your
Um, I mean, my mom, my dad. I don't know. I don't think my dad would be down. And my dad would be like, "Oh," my dad would be like, he'll say something like, "Oh, I'll sit on the outside and watch." Like I'll be there. I'll be on the camera. Like that's exactly what he would say. But my dad's funny like that. I tried inviting my dad to an event one time. That's a
Mhm.
quick story. I tried inviting my dad to an event one time. It was like me and my dad have similar, like the same, not the same birthday, but his birthday is one day before mine. September 17th. I'm September 18th. So
Mhm.
I invited to this event. Like it was the New York Latino Film Festival. It was like that. It was Univision was gonna be there, which is a big station. Da, da, da. My
Yep.
parents are both from Dominican Republic, so that they grew up watching that channel and all that. Me, not so much, but whatever. uh,
Yeah, we
but
got our version of that too. I know what you're talking about.
right, it was just like that's all I saw on TV, so I was like over it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But um, I invited him to it, and I was like, "Oh, you want to call me?" Da, da, da. He was like, "No." So then I sent him a picture. It was a red carpet, right? So I'm like on a red carpet. I'm taking pictures, like I'm right, like all this. And I sent him a picture, and he's like, "Oh, I should have gone." Da, da, da. And I'm like, "Well, I told you, but he probably throws in me like some kind of event where I was just sitting down, like something like other events that I've gone to and stuff like that." Because
Yeah.
my dad is very weird like that. Like he loves the show, but then he doesn't love a show. Like he wants to be part of something, and he doesn't want to be part of it. But I guess it all depends. I guess when he saw the record, he was like, "Oh, I should have been there," and there were like actors there and stuff like that, stuff people he
Yeah.
could have known. So it was funny just seeing his reaction because he was like, "Oh man, I should have said yes."
Yeah. I be getting so irritated sometimes, like, you think? Like, come on, bro. Like, it's gonna be amazing. Just trust
Yeah,
me. I like, yeah, there's certain things that I do think is like our obligation as the children to like push our parents into like try this thing out. Like just give it a try one time. Like just
right.
before you say no, like let's do this together. No, it's a beautiful transition to kind of be in this position where we're playing the bridge. Like that's how I see myself is like
Yes,
we're really like in that role of we got one foot in one culture and one in the other, and it's like we have kids, like, well, your real kids, my metaphorical ones, my nieces and nephews that I think about, like, who are we influencing, like
right,
who are we bringing up as the next generation, because like the generation before us is slowly killing the planet, like, and it's like
right.
right? Like, yo, this is wild. Like, I have to keep reminding myself I am now an adult, right?
Hmm.
Like, I'm like, I actually am an adult. I'm in a position to play my role. And to
Yeah,
me, I was like, we need to prep the next generation beforehand, like, so that they have a fighting chance as we also clean up this mess, right? Like, so that's how I think of myself as like that bridge. And in that vein, I'm wondering for you, what advice or like what would you want to go back and tell your younger self?
I definitely love that. We are the bridge.
Mm-hmm.
We're definitely the bridge for our parents and the bridge for the generations as well, because we've experienced both sides of different things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, but advice I would give my younger self. Um, the advice I would give my younger self is you are good enough. Don't compare yourself to anyone else. Believe in yourself. Love yourself, and that you're gonna be all right.
Mm-hmm.
That's the advice that I would give my younger self. And the reason I would give myself that advice is because these are the things that I didn't feel like I was good enough. Uh, I was always comparing myself to somebody else. Um, I didn't believe in myself all the time, and I generally did not love myself all the time. I was unhappy with who I was. So that's something that I would definitely tell my younger self, and that's something that I tell young people all the time. You know, not just young people, I tell everybody, but especially young people, because uh, growing up is tough. Like we're lacking self-esteem. We don't feel like we have anybody to talk to about it, and we don't know
Mm-hmm.
how to talk about it. So sometimes telling somebody they're good enough, telling somebody to believe themselves, or that you believe in them, that sometimes could be that it's like the smallest thing, but it's something that could get that person through a tough situation. You know what I'm saying? Because we don't know what everybody's going through. So that's my advice to myself.
That's beautiful. No, I love that. It's a lot of the same things that I have said. Um, ironically, one of the first interviews this season said, and I said it too, like, because these sound like affirmations, right? Because I know you post a lot of affirmations too, and it's like, uh, we were talking about like, can you remember the first affirmation that you read or like started using? And he said, I am enough. And I was like, no way. Cause I said
Hmm.
I am enough. And I was like, I have it written on my mirror, you know? So I like for me, whenever I see that kind of come back, it's like, oh, we're all in that same alignment in that journey of like really your success and like your happiness and all of that starts with you. Like the
Right.
common denominator is you. And so if you don't love yourself, if you don't, believe in yourself, if you don't speak positively to you, like then you setting yourself up for failure. So
Hmm.
one, like I agree with that wholeheartedly, but also two, like I commend you and like I even thank you for being in a position to say that openly. Like most people won't admit that they didn't have like, the most confidence or that they struggled with any of those things. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Especially not the men. Like the men will never they'll just be beaten all the way around the bush and it's like,
Right, right.
oh, like if we could just get here, then like we could have the rest of the conversation, you know? Oh man. So I definitely appreciate that.
Of course, and it stems also from like I don't know, from my growing up, it was like for me, it was like if you were confident, it was like it was a bad thing in a way. Like it was like, oh, you shouldn't be so like you shouldn't be full of yourself, right?
Mhm.
And it's not about being full of yourself. You should be happy with yourself, right? Like you should be happy with who you are. You should be happy like if you did something well to clap for yourself and show it off if you want to, and whatever the case may be. So I think that's what made it so. That's what I think that's what made it harder for me. Was just doing that. Was just like, oh, I played basketball, right? I would score like, let's say I scored like a drop 20 points, and I'd be like, oh, I could have dropped 25. But bro, you dropped 20 points. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's just something light. Like I'm talking about like a sport, like that I love playing. But even that, in a way, when I think back, I didn't have the most fun doing it that I could have had doing it because I was always in my head thinking like, yo, yeah, I could be better, but I didn't have to tell myself that. I could be like, yo, I'm doing the best I can, but I can
Mhm.
continue to work on it. You know what I'm saying? When you think like that, you push yourself different because you
Mhm.
already feel like you're doing the best you can, but you can also do better instead of thinking, damn, I'm not good enough. Because now you're
Yeah.
being negative. That negative self talk is going to bring you down. You know what I'm saying? Like, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm with you because I feel like I preach it every week in a different language with a different metaphor. Like, but it's like all of it is the same. It's the very classic when you're climbing a mountain and you're hiking, don't forget to look down so you can remember how far you already
Mm,
came, because like the higher up you go on the hike, the harder it is, right? Like the air is thinner, the incline is higher, like, just all of the elements. And it's like you
right.
get up to a point where you're like, ooh, like, baby, I'm trying to sit down. Like,
Hmm.
like we're trying
Right.
to whatever, but you got to look down. Like you have to, that's just the metaphor for life. Like, see how far you came and like continue, on that trajectory. So glass half full, it's like it's all the things that the cliches start to make sense. Right, like you're like,
Right.
oh, that's why they
Yeah,
say that.
like the biggest thing is like for me it was like I always say like what people ask like what's my purpose like or whatever I'm like it's to make the world a better place and I'm like yo growing up here in New York City I must have seen that like in every little like preschool had it like a little rainbow make the world a better place or on the
Mhm.
wall and every school had that little make the world a better place and I'm like what is and I'm thinking I'm like making the world a better place starts with me starts with you as a person starts with whatever you're doing right it's not like yeah, it's what we do together, but it starts with you. Like it has to start with me. Like if I'm not doing it, then how do I expect anybody in my community to do it, right? Like if I'm not doing it, how do I expect my brother to do it or my sister to do it, right? Like
Mhm.
you can't wait for anybody to make the world, but like, it has to start with you. You know what I'm saying? And again, I always say that like the work that we're doing, because it's work that we're doing,
Mhm.
um, is not for like instant results. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not something that's gonna happen overnight. We're just planting seeds, right, for generations to come, for the future to come, and like that right there makes me happy. Just the thought of that, right? That
Oh yeah.
one day in the future, this world will hopefully be a better place because of the seeds that we're planting. I just wanted to share that.
Oh, for sure. I mean, that there's a reason why I asked those questions too, because I don't like I'm always cognizant and I'm always remembering, the 14-year-old me, the 12-year-old me, the 7-year-old me, like all the different ages, and like constantly looking and searching for answers, trying to figure out life. And
Hmm.
being from such a small group of people, you don't see yourself often. You might see like someone that's close enough, you know what I mean, or like whatever, but it just doesn't feel the same. They don't really speak to the what I would say is the immigrant, experience, right? And oftentimes the immigrant gets typecasted as only one group, and it's
Right.
like, no, actually, like there's a lot of first generation people here from all over
From all
the
over.
like all over the world. And we can get into the reasons why we're here, but that's a different show, right? But at the end of the, we're all here, whether we wanted to be or we chose to be, however that that journey was. So I always think about that kid that might be just settling here and trying to figure it out. And it's like, what space exists for them, you know? Because that's really what it is at the end of the day, right?
Yeah, it's true, and it's not easy. Like you feel like you can't be yourself, right? You
Mhm.
feel like you have to like not kind of you have to lose who you are to fit in or be down or whatever the case may be. And that's what I'm talking about. Like we have to like normalize and just make it normal. Like it's okay. Be yourself. Be you. And honestly, like if you if you were to walk into a school building in New York City now compared to when I was in school, you see a
Mhm.
lot more of that. That's what I'm trying to say about people planting seeds. You see a lot more people because there were certain things that were not that wouldn't have been accepted. that kids would have been bullied and not gone want to go to school, would have gotten beaten up and all that stuff. And now you see kids being open and being okay with being who they are, and their classmates being accepting of that.
Yeah.
And I think that's a beautiful thing, and that's progress. And again, that's because there were people before us that were planting seeds, and this was come out of it. But um, shout out to everybody out there who was the first generation and came here from another country, and and had to. That's an experience that I can't speak to because I was born and raised here. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? But I can't even imagine because I feel like I went through a lot. So I can only imagine if I put that on top of what I went through. I'm thinking to myself, damn. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
That it's a lot. It's a whole nother thing to unpack. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, it's a whole nother show.
So all of and it's like we've tried to unpack it, throughout the seasons and stuff, but it is right, and that's why I was like, well, we need a space because we can't keep minimizing the immigrant, experience, right, or the marginalized experience. Like I'm tired of being in the margins. Like no, like we need space to discuss what we go through because our experiences are worth sharing,
Right.
and our people need space to heal too, like, and they deserve that, right? So it's like I was like, I see what you're doing in your space and how you're affecting your community, and it's like I'm doing that too. And it's like we this isn't easy, this is hard work. And so it's like when I see that, I'm like, yo, how do we uplift? Like how do we continue to amplify and like just keep spreading love because it's dark out here. It's like that's what I keep telling people.
Fact. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It is.
It's real
We
dark some days.
definitely.
And with that too, it brings me to our last question because the hour then just flew by. We're at almost at it, and it goes back into what we're doing, right? Like we're doing this work for our communities and for the love of just spreading that positivity and light. But I'm wondering, is there something more specific that you were hoping to leave as a legacy?
Um.
I know it's a big question too. So,
No, no, it is. But like I've thought about this, and I've always, like I've thought about like legacy and impact, right? And the things that we do, the things that I do, and stuff like that. And the way I look at it is, when it comes to legacy, I look at legacy from day to day. I
Mhm,
don't look at it as like when I'm not here anymore, what I left behind. I look at it as every day, every
mhm,
person I come in contact with, anybody what I'm saying, is to be my authentic self, be myself, be honest, um, and just be myself. You know what I'm saying? That's the legacy that I want to leave behind every single day. You know what I'm saying? Like someone they see Mozo, yeah, Mozo, yeah. When I tell you something, it's because that's how I feel about something. You know what I'm saying? Like there's no oh God, there's a whole siren out here. Sorry about that.
Okay, told you he's from New York, bro. Every time, without fail, there's always something. I was waiting for it.
But like, yeah, that's really what I think about when I think of legacy. I think about impact, and I think about, every day, uh, my legacy, the legacy I leave behind is something where, of course, my kids, and stuff like that. But my kids are they're their own individual person. You know what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
that I would love for them to be able to um take in what the stuff that I'm putting out there for them to see and for them to learn.
Mhm.
But at the end of the day, like I said earlier, we're all on our own different journeys, and they're gonna go through experiences that maybe I didn't go through, and they're gonna shape them a certain way.
Yeah.
So as far as legacy goes, it's just always to be my authentic self, be myself, and yeah, I'm the kind of person where people will tell you like it's either you mess with me or you don't. You
That
know what I'm saying?
part, you better say
You,
that.
you know what I'm saying? Like it's not really. I'm not really. I don't feel like I'm truly a complicated thing. It's either some people mess with me, and then that's cool. I got love for you too, and even if you don't, I got love for you too. You know what I'm saying? But stay on that side. Feel me?
Saying that, I feel like I've been preaching that for a long time. I don't have to like you to respect you, right?
hmm
Like I don't have to like you to accept that you are also a human being that deserves space. You just don't need to be in mine, right?
Exactly. That's it. I got love for everybody. I got love for everybody. As long as you're not hurting anybody, if you're not hurting anybody or doing anything that, like anything like that, I got love for you. Whether you got love for me or not, I got love for you. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what we need in the world, more love.
And I was like, sometimes love is distance, and that's okay. And that's really good. Like it's really good for people to hear too. It's just yeah, that one took me back. I was like, mm-hmm. You
Sometimes
either
the best connection, sometimes the best connection is a disconnection.
like that's it. Yeah, that's a good one. I gotta add that to the list, man. Because that's it. That's the word. No, I really do love and appreciate this because like normally what I like to do is really just affirm my guests. And that was just something naturally that happened. I realized that is like that's me. Like I like to affirm people. And so I really resonated with what you said in terms of your legacy and like living it day to day. Because I can't remember just over the course of just doing this whole podcast, like I've started to realize that like people have helped me realize like be in the present, you know? And it's
hmm
like because I'll be planning for like 5 years from now and I'm like, I'm tired, It's like no, day to day, like what do I really want? And I think that's beautiful of just leaving people um what you're doing is like that Marianne Williamson quote is like by being your authentic self, you're allowing others to be as well, right?
hmm
And so like I always think that's beautiful because you break all the pretenses, like all the formalities, all the BS, and like let's just take it back to being human. Like, talk to me like I'm another human being. Like we don't I'm not my position. I'm not like whatever. Like just be it's okay to just be a normal person. Like you don't need to be perfect. So I really
Right.
love and appreciate that. And I think, even just in our short interaction of just getting on the podcast, like I could just say like you didn't need prep. You didn't ask like, hey, like what's this gonna be about? Can I script? Like, hold on. It was just like, okay, cool, let's do it. And I think like that's a true testament to like you really are in that place, like you are comfortable being yourself in any situation. Like you're not gonna try to change who you are to fit the like to fit the occasion, which I appreciate because I try to tell people just come as you are. Like
Yeah.
there's no pretenses here. So I really see that. Like I see it all the time with what you're doing and your content, and I can only imagine what that translates to in person, like actually being part of your community and experiencing that. But I just want to affirm for you that you're going to continue to have that legacy and impact, and that like you're going to continue to build your platform because if we're doing the same thing, right, and the way law of attraction works, like it's only up from here. Like as you grow, I
Definitely.
grow, and it's like our growth is really not about us. It just means our community grows. Like the people that we
hmm
love get to grow, and we get to just see that positivity like continue to flourish in places where it probably hasn't been for a long time. So I really commend you. And it's so nice to have like a peer in this space that I'm like, I see you. I can see what you're doing and like be motivated and inspired and continue to collaborate. Like my platform is open. So, whatever it is that I can support and continue to like amplify and champion for you, please don't hesitate to let me know. I'm more than happy to, it's nothing but for me to just hit a repost, hit a reshare, support a campaign. It doesn't matter. I just want to see our people really win.
Definitely. And I appreciate your kind words for real, man. It means so much to me. And yeah, this part of the legacy, this legacy right here, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
This legacy right here because the thing about legacy is like I said, it's day by day, but like if you live your life thinking about what you're gonna leave behind, you're not
Mhm.
gonna be able to live day by day because you're gonna be too busy thinking about, yo, what am I gonna leave behind? What am I gonna leave behind? What am I leaving? What am I doing? Instead of just living day by day. What you do day by day, that is your legacy. You know what I'm saying? That's gonna be left behind. Like you don't even think about legacy. Like you don't that doesn't cross your mind. You just go day by day. It's like I always go back to sports because I'm a big, baseball, basketball guy, but I think like someone like LeBron James, yeah, he wants to be in the Hall of Fame. I'm sure he said that to himself. I want to be NBA champion. But
Mhm.
he still has to play every single game hard, right? He still has to practice and work hard every single game, right? Like he didn't think to himself, "Oh yeah, well this game is for..." No, like it's about the small steps, that we take, and like you said, enjoy every day or live every day, and live your journey, like live every day. You know what I'm saying? Like don't get caught up into like what the big picture is, because the small picture is what creates the big picture. Like the small pictures create the big thing, like the big picture. So I just appreciate your kind words, and yeah, I ain't need no script, you know that.
I'm here for it because I'll be unscripted too. People really be thinking like, "Man, you put it." I was like, "No, baby girl, that was off the top of the dome." Like, don't let me become a full rapper on you because it's gonna be problems. But no, I appreciate that, y'all. That was another dope episode of Black Men Speak Sundays. Make sure you are following Mozo on Watch Your Mouth with Mozo Podcast on everything. Okay, YouTube, Apple, Spotify. Hey, throw out your IG handle one more time because I didn't have it linked up here.
Yeah, if anybody wants to follow me on Instagram, it's at underscore the real Mozo. I'm the only Mozo. There's some fake pages out there. It's at underscore the real Mozo. You can't miss it. And make sure you check out the podcast as well. Right now, I'm on a little break, but I definitely have content on the podcast. I have content on my Instagram page as well. And I also want to say that my platform and my space is a safe space. It's open to anyone and everyone. My DMs are always open to anybody who wants to have a conversation about anything. I'm always open to it. And if I'm not open to it or not okay with it, then I will of course let you know. But don't be afraid to shoot out and speak to me about it. The only way you find out whether someone is comfortable with something is by actually asking them or having a conversation with them. So make sure you reach out.
Yep, I was like, see, that's how we got this episode popping. So shoot your podcast shot. You want to be on the podcast? You wanna participate? You wanna hey, you gotta put it out there. Closed mouths don't get fed. So
Right. And I'm always open to collab with anybody. And it doesn't matter what you do. You know what I'm saying? I'm always open to collab. I feel like we all have a light. We all have something positive to say. We all have something to share with the world, our stories. So,
Mhm.
whatever it may be, it could just be a 10-second thing of words of affirmation that you may have, whatever it may be. Uh, I'm always open to that because I feel like that's the way we build community is by sharing our stories and being open to accepting other people's stories as well.
Yo, I couldn't have said it better. I couldn't have said it better. That's what we doing here on my platform. Make sure you guys are following Mozo and on his, and that we're really doing it like we said, right? For us, by us. So again, go ahead and follow us on the Uprooted Network on everything. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe everywhere. I hate doing that part, but y'all need to hear it. So go ahead and do that.
And you
Make sure
keep doing your thing. You keep doing your thing.
I will, man. Hey, it's if not for nothing, I'm a consistent. You feel me? You fill in the bleed, but yes. All right. Peace out, y'all. Enjoy your Sunday. We'll see you tomorrow for Manifest Mondays. Deuces.
Peace.